This isn't a book. It's a fight. This wasn't written to impress or to teach or to sound wise. It was written in the dark, in the cold, by a man at war with himself. Not to be remembered, but to remember. Because when the weight gets heavy, the noise gets loud, and the world gets cruel, you don't need inspiration. You need command. You need a voice that doesn't flinch, a standard that doesn't bend, a mirror that doesn't lie. That's what this is. Not philosophy, not poetry, but practice. A way of returning to who you were before the world taught you to explain, to justify, to drift. This isn't a book. It's a blade to cut through weakness, to silence the ego, to walk through life without shaking. So carry it, not in your hand, but in your mind. And every time you forget, open it, and remember your form. Everything is interpretation. What hits you isn't the event, it's the meaning you gave it. You weren't hurt by the words. You were hurt by the story you wrapped around them. You weren't broken by the loss, you were broken by your refusal to let go. Marcus knew this, and he wrote it down, so he wouldn't forget when pain came knocking. It's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about them. So shift the judgment, strip the meaning, leave only the fact. He left. They betrayed you. It failed. So, none of that carries weight until you decide what it means. And when you stop adding drama, you stop bleeding for things that don't deserve it. This is power. Not in reaction, but in interpretation. And once you control that, nothing can touch you the same way again. Do not act if it's not necessary. Most movement is noise. Most reaction is weakness in disguise. They post, they argue, they explain, because stillness is uncomfortable. But the Stoic, he waits, he watches, and when he moves, it's final. Marcus wrote, "Let your actions be few but essential." Not flashy, not constant, just clean. You don't need to reply, you don't need to prove, you don't need to respond to every emotion. Most of what comes at you doesn't deserve a response. It deserves to be ignored. Because control is not just what you do, it's what you choose not to do. So pause, strip the urge, ask, is this necessary? If not, let it burn out on its own. That's economy, that's discipline, that's power without performance. Stop waiting to be understood. You don't need them to get it. You don't need them to agree. You don't need them to see the whole picture. You just need to keep moving. Marcus wrote pages to himself, not to convince the world, but to keep his stance when no one else could see it. Because truth isn't always visible, and clarity, it's often quiet. So stop explaining, stop defending, stop breaking your message into pieces, just to make it easier to digest. Let them misunderstand, let them assume, let them talk. Your peace doesn't depend on their comprehension. It depends on your direction. If it's aligned, keep walking. They'll either catch up or fade out. But you don't pause for applause, you don't dilute for comfort, you don't shrink to fit, you move. Clean, untraded, unshaken. Because being understood was never the goal. Being honest was. Never trade integrity for approval. You can get the praise, you can get the likes, you can fit every room if you're willing to lose yourself. But once you give that up, you don't get it back clean. Marcus never bent his standard to match the crowd. He didn't soften truth just to keep things easy. He wrote to stay sharp when the world pulled him to soften, because integrity is heavy. But losing it? That's unbearable. So ask yourself, are you quiet because it's wise? Or because you're afraid? Are you smiling to connect or to avoid confrontation? Are you shifting your tone or standing in your code? You'll know. And that knowing will haunt you if you don't hold the line. Approval fades, trends fade, applause fades, but the voice in your head, that stays. And it only respects one thing, that you didn't fold, when folding would have been easy. So keep it, even if they walk away, even if they laugh. Never trade integrity for approval, ever. You can't control what hits you, only how you stand. Life doesn't ask for permission. It comes. Hard, fast, without warning. People leave, plans collapse, everything shifts in seconds. And you don't get to stop it. You only get to respond. Marcus understood this. He didn't write to make life easier. He wrote to make himself stronger. Not in the body, but in the stance. He knew the storm is external, but the collapse is internal. So when it hits, breathe. Square your shoulders, lower your expectations, and tighten your code. Don't beg, don't panic, don't ask why. Ask, what now? What do I still control? How do I hold the line, even here? Because toughness isn't avoiding the blow, it's absorbing it and remaining unchanged where it counts. You can't stop the world from coming at you, but you can make sure when it does, it finds you ready. People will fail you. Still, stand clean. They'll lie, they'll leave. They'll take more than they give, sometimes by mistake, sometimes on purpose, and the instinct is to match it. Hurt for hurt, silence for silence, wound for wound. But Marcus didn't play that game. He knew if you mirror the mess, you become part of it. He chose to stay clean, not because they deserved grace, but because he deserved peace. It's not weakness, it's clarity. It's refusing to carry their chaos into your center. Let them talk, let them twist, let them fall short. You keep your code, keep your tone, keep your hands clean. Because in the end, how they moved was their story. How you responded will always be yours. So hold your standard, even if no one matches it, especially then. People will fail you. Let them. Just don't fail yourself trying to win them back. You're gonna die. Act like it. Not someday. Not later. Soon. Maybe sooner than you think. Marcus reminded himself every day, death is close. Not to fear it, but to focus. Because when you really feel it, the nonsense fades. You stop holding grudges. You stop chasing applause. You stop waiting for the right time. You move. Now. Clear. Sharp. You say what matters. You build what lasts. You drop what drains. You realize most things aren't urgent until you remember. You're not promised tomorrow. That tension? Let it go. That dream? Start it. That truth? Say it. That fear? Face it. Because you don't get to control the hour, only the use. And when it comes, you shouldn't be surprised. You should be ready. So strip the noise, burn the script, and live like every moment has weight. Because it does. You're gonna die. So stop living like you forgot. Don't speak of the good man. Be one. Don't describe him. Don't admire him. Don't write about him. Become him. That was Marcus. No performances. No virtue signaling, no debates about what good looks like. He just embodied it, quietly, consistently, even when it was hard, especially then. He didn't wait for applause, didn't need witnesses, didn't need to win the moral argument. He just lived his code and let the rest fall where it may. Because the good man doesn't talk about the path, he walks it, even when no one claps, even when no one follows, especially when no one's watching. You want to be solid? Don't build the image, build the pattern, build the decisions, build the self that holds those. When things get loud, or worse, silent, don't explain your values, be them. Don't label yourself. Let your actions say it first. Don't speak of the good man, be one, and be too grounded to say it out loud. The obstacle isn't in the way, it is the way. It's not a detour, not a mistake, not a sign to quit. It's the point. That thing you're avoiding, that's where you sharpen, that's where you harden, that's where you earn it. Marcus didn't ask for ease. He didn't pray for the path to clear. He took what came and made it fuel. Pain, use it. Delay, train in it. Disrespect, let it test your composure. Because the obstacle doesn't block the road, it becomes the road if your stance is right. Most people flinch, step back, complain about timing, try to go around. But the Stoic doesn't pivot. He leans in, slow, exact, unshaken. Not because it's comfortable, but because that's where the work is. So stop asking why this. Start asking what's being forged in me right here. Then walk through. Without dramatizing, without delay, without noise. The obstacle is the way. Because the one who walks through it is never the same as the one who stood outside. You owe yourself clarity. Not more knowledge, not more opinions, not more content, clarity. Because without it, you drift. You react. You become whatever the room needs you to be. And that's not strength, that's surrender in disguise. Marcus didn't chase answers, he chased clean thinking. Short, tight, unclouded. He wrote to see through fog, to cut noise, to remember what mattered, when emotions tried to rewrite the script. So be honest. What are you avoiding? What are you pretending not to know? What are you letting slide, just to keep things easy? Strip it. Say it. Decide. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being direct. No more "I don't know what I want." No more "I'm figuring it out." No more "it's complicated." It's not. You're just afraid to be clear. Because clarity costs comfort, but it gives you power. So sharpen the thought, name the truth, and walk like you meant it. You owe yourself clarity. And the interest is adding up. Let them go. Stay still. Not everything that leaves is a loss. Not everyone who exits takes something from you. Sometimes they go, and what's left behind is you, finally undistracted. Marcus didn't chase, didn't cling, didn't beg people to stay. He understood. Attachment breeds weakness. Clarity begins when noise exits. And not all departures are tragic. You don't need closure. You don't need the last conversation. You don't need to be understood. You need to stay still, stay grounded, stay inward, stay loyal to your own code. Let them talk, let them drift, let them forget you. You're not here to be remembered. You're here to be whole. And if their absence brings discomfort, sit with it. Don't fill it. Don't cover it. Don't replace them to avoid the quiet. Because sometimes silence is what finally teaches you how loud they were. So breathe, reset, and return to form. Let them go. And if they were never yours, let them stay gone. You don't need time. You need intention. Everyone says they're too busy, no time, no space, no chance. But the truth, it's not time they lack, it's choice. You had time to scroll, time to talk, time to overthink, but not time to get clear, to build, to act. Marcus wrote, "You waste what is most precious, not from necessity, but from distraction." It's not the calendar. It's your focus. So stop saying someday. Say, "I haven't made it important enough." Then decide. Cut something. Lock in. You don't need more hours, you need to mean it. Intention makes time. Distraction kills it. Every day is enough, if you're not wasting it. The opinion of others is not the truth. They'll judge, they'll assume, they'll talk. Let them. Their voice is not your mirror. Their view is not your value. Marcus wrote, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value and gross, if they don't know what they're talking about." So ask, do they know your code? Your fight? Your reasons? No? Then why hold their voice closer than your own? Let them think what they want. You walk. Let them talk. You build. Their noise is their weight. Don't carry it. Truth stays quiet. You don't need to defend it. Just live it. You are not your emotions. You feel anger, you feel fear, you feel doubt. Good. Feel it. Then let it pass. Marcus said, "Control begins the moment you question the emotion." You are not the wave, you are the shore. Pause. Name it. Don't become it. Let the feeling rise, but don't follow it. Feel it, then choose. That's control. Win without needing credit. Do the work. Walk away. No announcement, no scoreboard. Marcus didn't need applause, he needed peace. Let others post. Let others perform. You build. You finish. You vanish. Because real power doesn't beg to be seen, it just stands. Hold the standard, especially when it's inconvenient. Anyone can show up when it's easy, but when it's late, when it's cold, when no one's watching, that's where it counts. Marcus didn't flex in comfort. He held form in chaos. Discipline means doing it anyway. No excuse, no edit. Return to simplicity. Too much noise, too much reaching, too much trying to become. Marcus knew peace lives in less. Less clutter, less chasing, less pretending. Strip it down. Keep what matters, burn what doesn't. Simple is sharp, simple is clean. Simple holds under pressure. Return to it and stay. Discipline is freedom, not rules, not punishment. Choice. Marcus didn't follow orders, he followed principle. Wake when it's hard, do what's right, not what's easy. That's not restriction, that's release. From chaos, from regret, from weakness. Discipline isn't chains, it's a clean path that doesn't move. Follow it and be free. Adversity reveals alignment. Pressure doesn't create weakness, it exposes it. Marcus didn't pray for ease, he welcomed the test. Because storms show what's fake, what's forced, what's real. If your values shake, they weren't yours. If your peace cracks, it wasn't built right. Adversity strips you down. What stays, that's who you are. So don't fear it, face it, let it reveal, then realign. Stay present, even when it hurts. Most people run, numb it, escape it, drown it in noise. But Marcus stayed. Not because he liked pain, but because he respected it. Pain is information, pain is sharpening, pain is real. Don't flinch, don't fast forward. Breathe, look it in the eye, feel it, all of it, then respond. Staying present when it's easy means nothing. Do it when it burns. That's power. Detach. Not because you don't care, but because you do. Attachment isn't love, it's control, it's fear in disguise. Marcus cared deeply, but didn't cling. He knew what's yours can leave. What's steady today may shift tomorrow. So hold with grace, not grip. Detach, not to escape, but to protect your peace. Let people be who they are. Let things rise and fall. Let moments pass without begging them to stay. Because freedom isn't indifference, it's trust. And love, real love, doesn't need to own, just witness, without losing yourself. This isn't wisdom. This is returning to form. You already knew. Every line, every truth, every silence in between. Marcus didn't give answers. He gave reminders of who you were before you got loud, before you started needing permission, before the world convinced you to drift. This isn't self-help, it's self-remembering. A return to fewer words, fewer wants, more weight in every step. To the man who doesn't shake when things fall, when people change. When plans break, you've read enough, now choose. Not more quotes, more standards, not more ideas, more application, not more knowledge, more form. And if you ever forget again, return here, to the quiet, to the page, to the war between what shakes and what stays.